Okay, we're doing number 41 in section 8.1, and we've been asked to graph this function, the radical, the square root of x plus 3, and we've been asked to find the domain and range. It's going to be easiest to find domain and range if we graph first. That's where we're going to start. Now, if you looked in your book, you'll see all the radical functions have a similar look to them, which means you should know right off the bat if this looks completely wrong or not. But what we're going to do to graph this is simply plot some x and y points. So, I'm going to make an xy chart, and I'm going to pick some points. Now, I usually start with a negative number, 0, and a positive number. And then after we get these, we'll look at it and we'll go from there. So, I have negative 1 plus 3, square root of 2. 0 plus 3, square root of 3. 1 plus 3, square root of 4, which is 2. Now this is 1.4, if you put in your calculus, 1.7. So kind of to give us an idea, you can see they're fairly similar numbers. Now looking at this, if I put a negative 3 in here, negative 3 plus 3, square root of 0 is going to give me 0. Now this is important because then I have both of my x and y intercepts with this. Now what if I put a negative 4 here? Negative 4 plus 3, square root of negative 1. Can I take the square root of a negative number? No, this does not work. So we know this is probably where it's going to end. That's why all these have the same, because remember, we can never take the square root of a negative number. That's the reason all your square root graphs have that one-sided look to them. Now I can get larger. Looking at this, I'm looking for a perfect square would be my easiest thing. So for instance, 9 is going to give me 3. So if I put in a 6 here, 6 plus 3, square root of 9 equals 3. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these points, I'm going to plot them here on my x and y chart, and see what I get. So at negative 1 here, I'm at 1.5 approximately, so about there. Now at 0, a little bit higher, almost to 2. At 1, I'm at 2. See, I went up a little bit. Now negative 3 over here, 2, 3. I'm on the graph. 6 over here, so let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm up 1, 2, 3. So this looks like this. Now, if you were unsure, you could check. Pick a point down here. Why can we never get a negative answer out of here? Well, because we can't take the square root of a negative number, which means we're not going to get a negative answer either. But if you're unsure, you're like, why isn't it down here? Pick a point and test it. See what happens. But you can see we try to point out here it can't exist. We know this way going we're fine, and we've got a general curve that looks like all the graphs that do in this section. So now let's look at domain and range. So domain x's, we start at negative 3, we can include that, and we go to positive infinity. Range, we start here at the x-axis, so we start at 0, and we go to positive infinity as well. Now if you want, you could also write this simply as x is greater than or equal to negative 3, and y is greater than or equal to 0. On an exam, I would accept either this interval notation or this inequalities. Get the point across. I'm not too picky about format.